to me, what was fascinating about it was that he was now proposing to be not only President of the United States, but in effect President of the world. In that, he made it clear that he wanted to try to explain America to the rest of the world and explain the rest of the world to America. He was kind of putting himself at the crossroads of cultures, at the crossroads of countries, at the crossroads of history, and given his makeup, given his literal DNA, given his family history, given who he is and his background, he was saying, I'm a person who can explain and connect all of the world to the rest of the world. Now, he didn't say it in so many words, but watching him up there, I thought that's the job he had given himself. This is a man of no small ambition. No small ambition. But for the most part, on a personal level, as a leader, he gives off a sense of goodwill, of willingness to listen. So far, I would have to say it's all to the good, because talking is important right now. Now, it all can't be that easy. It's never that easy. You can't just give a speech and expect the world to cooperate. It doesn't work that way. And it's not going to. The economy. We're still in a hell of a lot of trouble, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. You don't need any more of a reminder of that than to look underneath the bridge practically outside our window here, where as I raced across the street, having triumphantly found my parking space on 38th, I happened to spy 2 or 3 guys, homeless people, asleep right under the bridge where the Penn students were crossing on their way to lunch. Small point, small data point, but a reminder. On a much more global scale, the banks have farther to go down than they have so far. Unemployment has much further to go up than it has so far, which means that the recession has a lot longer and probably deeper to go. Commercial real estate is the other shoe to drop here. You've read all about homes and home prices. Maybe they're beginning to bottom out to some extent. I think that might be true. But there are a lot of contracts coming due, a lot of loans coming due for office buildings and shopping malls and commercial real estate all across America. Loans are going to be called. Banks are going to want that money. Commercial developers haven't seen the worst of it yet, and they're about to over the next year. So that's probably going to get worse before it gets better. The economy, from everybody I've talked to, thinks it's going to get substantially worse before it gets better. And of course, there are places around the world that haven't seen the worst yet, Eastern Europe being one of them, Russia perhaps being another. So we have economic dislocations yet ahead. And of course, Barack Obama will have to face those. He may have to face an election next year, not this year, but in the fall of 2010, in which the surrounding economic story may not be so good. And of course, the Republicans have essentially made a big bet that it won't be better, and that they'll be able to hang whatever the economic situation is in the fall in 2010 on Barack Obama's spending. You've heard their phrase: borrowing too much, spending too much, taxing too much. That's going to be their mantra from here all the way through the 2010 election, which may not be so good for Barack Obama. We'll see. So he's got economic challenges, political challenges, and of course foreign policy challenges. Nobody thinks Afghanistan is going to get better anytime soon. The Taliban is mounting an effort to reclaim that country. The situation in the Middle East and between Israel and the Palestinians may get worse. We don't know what kind of dislocations there will be in China and India in terms of their economies, which are still pretty strong but may not remain that way. As you know, North Korea shot off a ballistic missile. It didn't go very far, but it went a lot farther than any that they'd shot off before. And that just reminds everybody about the under-the-surface traffic in missile technology, nuclear technology, bioweapons technology, all the things that the terrorists want to get their hands on. And as Obama has said, the terrorists are still out there. They're still planning. They're still plotting. They would like to strike again. For all of his talent, for all of his charm, for all of his intelligence, and basically for all of his success in propounding basic policies that most of the American people tend to agree with. The stimulus package, more money for S-chip, the budget sort of, the bailouts sort of. I mean, overall, the American people are still supportive and crossing their fingers and hope he succeeds. Barack Obama has not yet, I believe as an adult in his career, faced the real, to put it somewhat dramatically, dark night of the soul. He hasn't really stared into the abyss of failure as a leader. Sure, he ran for Congress in 2000 and got whacked. He probably never should have run, but he was a very young man. There wasn't a whole lot of risk in running against Hillary Clinton, who was seen as the Colossus. If Obama had lost, everybody said, hey, it's a young guy taking a shot. It's been really smooth. In many ways, it's been shockingly smooth. And it can't always be that way. We'll learn a lot about Barack Obama, and we'll learn a lot about ourselves as a country when he faces a true crisis that challenges him personally to see what he's made of. And it'll be interesting to watch what happens.